In the beginning, there was nothing people would recognize as a world. There were no shores and no mountains, no sea, no sun, not even day and night as we understand them. There was nowhere to stand, and no sky to lift your eyes toward. There was only what the ancient Greeks called chaos, a boundless primordial abyss, a formless emptiness. From this primal chaos, the first great beings arise, not gods with human faces, but the very foundations of existence. First appears Gaia, the earth. She is the solid ground, the base that holds all things. She is not merely earth beneath your feet. She is the possibility of being, the support for the world to come. With Gaia comes Tartarus, an abyss so deep beneath the earth that the mind can scarcely grasp it. Not a cave, not a simple underworld, but the lowest boundary of the cosmos, the place where the most terrifying powers would one day be sealed away. Then arises Eros, the force of union, attraction, and birth. In its oldest meaning, Eros is not a romantic whim, but a law, the law by which what is separated longs to join, and what is joined brings forth life. From chaos are born Erebus, the darkness of the depths, and Nyx, the night. From night, in ancient thought, come the powers that rule the unseen side of life, sleep and death, fate and retribution, drowsiness and strife. So the world gains not only solidity and emptiness, but shadow, boundary, and law. Yet the world is still unfinished. There is earth, there is the abyss, there is night, there is the drive to be born. But one thing is missing: the sky to divide above from below, and the wide space that will become the home of future powers. Then Gaia brings forth Uranus, the sky. He rises over her like a vault of stars and covers the earth. Uranus is not simply above Gaia. He becomes her counterpart. Thus, the first great union is formed: earth and sky, below and above, foundation and cover, what holds and what encloses. From this union comes a new generation, the children of Gaia and Uranus. They are no longer formless principles, but mighty beings, embodying the forces and laws of the cosmos. The Titans are born, 12 great powers. Among them are Oceanus, the ring of waters around the world, Hyperion, bound to the light of the heavens, Iapetus, whose line will lead toward the fate of mortals, Themis, meaning law and order, Mnemosyne, memory. And most important for this story, Cronus, the youngest of the brothers, and Rhea, who will become the mother of a new generation of gods. But the children do not end there. Uranus and Gaia also bring forth the Cyclopes, one-eyed giants, tied to thunder and lightning, and to the craft of heavenly smiths. And then, the Hecatoncheires, the 100-handed giants, whose power is measured not merely in might, but in excess hundreds of hands, dozens of heads, as if war and ruin themselves had taken flesh. And here the first tragedy within the divine family unfolds. A tragedy that will become a law for every generation to come. Uranus fears his children. He sees in them not his continuation, but a threat to his rule. He fears most of all those who cannot be bent to ordinary measure, the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires. And instead of allowing them a place in the world, Uranus hides them in the depths, in Tartarus, within the very womb of Gaia. He seems to return them to the darkness from which they emerged, sealing away the possibility of their power. But for Gaia, this is not merely her husband's decree. It is pain, a pain she feels in her body. The imprisoned children press, tear, and torment her from within. The earth becomes a prison, and Gaia, who was the world's foundation, becomes a mother, suffocating under injustice. And then Gaia decides, if Uranus's power stands upon fear, then vengeance will break it. She fashions a sickle, a tool not merely to wound, but to cut away the very source of rule. And she calls upon her Titan sons, urging them to rise against their father. But the Titans hesitate. They are strong, yet fear of the sky, of the one who covers the world, binds them. Only one agrees, Cronus, the youngest, the craftiest, the one in whom the future cruelty of fate already lives. Cronus hides, and when Uranus comes again to Gaia, Cronus carries out his mother's design. He maims Uranus, cutting away his power to beget. In this act, there is not only violence, but symbol. The sky can no longer crush the earth without consequence, nor keep the children in darkness. The consequences are vast and terrible, because in myth, every blow against primordial forces gives birth to new forces. The blood of Uranus falls upon the earth, and from it are born the Erinyes, goddesses of vengeance for blood crimes, those who will pursue the guilty, even when all others turn away. The giants are born as well, future bearers of war, and part of what was cut away falls into the sea, and from the sea foam rises Aphrodite, goddess of love. So strangely and relentlessly, the ancient world works. From what destroys comes also what unites. From horror is born beauty. From violence, the power of desire. Uranus retreats. His rule is broken. And in the place of the sky as king, a Titan rises. Cronus becomes the ruler. It would seem it is over. Tyranny has ended. But here the Greek myth reveals its deepest law. Power seized through fear will always give birth to fear. Cronus takes his sister Rhea as his wife, and over their union falls the shadow of prophecy. Cronus is fated to be overthrown by his own son. just as he overthrew his father. That prophecy turns Cronus into what Uranus once was. Only the method changes. Uranus drove his children into darkness. Cronus does something worse. He swallows them. Each time Rhea gives birth, Cronus takes the infant, and it vanishes within him. So he devours Hestia, then Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. For him, it is a solution. For Rhea, it is endless loss. She gives birth and is emptied at once. Rhea turns to Gaia, her mother, the earth, and to Uranus, the sky father, who has lost his throne, but not his knowledge of fate. And they counsel her, if Cronus fears a son, then save the one who must become that son. When the time comes for the sixth child, Rhea does what she had not dared before. She deceives the king. She secretly bears the child far from Cronus, on Crete. The infant is hidden in a cave, beyond the reach of the devouring hand. And to Cronus, Rhea brings a stone, wrapped in swaddling cloth. And Cronus, blinded by fear, swallows the stone, believing he has swallowed the child. That child is Zeus. Zeus grows in hiding. And what matters here is not how exactly, for different tellings add different details, but that his growing happens outside Cronus's rule, where the king's fear cannot reach, where the future is still possible. When Zeus comes of age, he does not return as a child begging for his family, but as a force meant to fulfill prophecy. He does not seek only revenge. He seeks to restore what has been violated. No ruler can reign by devouring his own children. Zeus acts wisely. He does not rush at Cronus with bare hands. A crucial figure appears, Metis, embodiment of wise counsel. By her design, Cronus is made to drink a potion. That forces him to cast up what he has swallowed. And a miracle and a horror happen at once. Cronus vomits up what he devoured. First the stone, he once swallowed in Zeus's place. And then the gods, he carried within him. Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. It is like a second birth. They return not as infants, but as divine powers, ready to stand as Zeus's allies. Here begins the central catastrophe of cosmogony, a war of gods against gods. Not for territory, but for the right to decide, what the world itself will be. The old generation, the Titans, led by Cronus. The new generation, Cronus's children, led by Zeus. The war lasts long. Tradition gives the number 10 years, a sign that the struggle is neither quick nor accidental. It is as though the world itself cannot decide who will become its law. And then Zeus does what neither Uranus nor Cronus ever did. He seeks allies not among the convenient, but among those the former kings feared and imprisoned. Zeus frees the Cyclopes and the Hecatonchires from Tartarus. The Cyclopes, released from darkness, repay him with what they do best. They forge the thunderbolt, Zeus's supreme weapon, a symbol of rule not only by strength, but by the sky itself, now belonging to him. Other gods receive their signs of dominion as well. Poseidon will bear the trident, and Hades the helm of invisibility. These are not decorative details. They are markers. Each brother becomes lord of his realm. The Hecatonchires, the 100-handed giants, enter battle like a natural force. Imagine it, not one stone flying at an enemy, but hundreds, again and again, without pause. This is not an army. It is a storm that cannot be stopped. The Titanomachy is described as a battle that shakes the whole world. The earth trembles, the sea boils, the sky splits with thunder. In these images, the Greeks expressed one thought. When primordial powers fight, the very order of existence is at stake. At last, the balance tilts toward Zeus. For he possesses what the old kings never had, an alliance with the forces they despised and feared. The Titans are defeated. Most often, tradition says, they are cast into Tartarus, and there they are guarded by the Hecatonchires, the very ones once imprisoned. This too is a law of myth. A prison becomes just only when it is guarded by a power, freed from injustice. Some Titans receive particular fates. For example, Atlas is given a special punishment to hold up the vault of the sky. Again, it is symbolic. One who belongs to the old order now literally supports the heavens that belong to the new king. After victory, a new question rises. What now? The world cannot remain at war. It must be divided and ordered. The brothers cast lots, and thus the structure of the cosmos known to the Greeks is set. Zeus receives the sky, realm of thunder, clouds, lightning, and supreme rule. Poseidon receives the sea, the shifting power that surrounds the lands. Hades receives the underworld, kingdom of shades, and the unseen law of death. and the earth remains shared. For Gaia, the foundation, cannot belong to one alone. It would seem the order is now final. Yet Greek myth rarely grants a quiet ending, without a last trial, because power must not only be won, it must be held. And so the final great threat to Zeus unfolds, something often treated as a separate myth. Yet in the chain of succession, it sounds like the closing act. The struggle against a child of Earth, born to avenge the Titans. After the Titans fall, Gaia, the Earth, feels wrath and grief. Her children are again in the abyss. And from her anger rises a new force, Typhon, a monster embodying the last attempt of chaos to break the established order. Typhon is not merely a beast. He is a threat of pure storm, tied to tempests, fire, destructive wind, and within him there is neither law nor measure. He is what could return the world to the primordial abyss. Zeus must face him. And this matters. The Titans were defeated together. But here, the High God must show that he is not merely first among equals, but the true guardian of cosmic order. The battle with Typhon becomes the final blow against old chaos. Zeus prevails and seals Typhon in the depths, linked in tradition to subterranean fire. That remains, but now under control. And so it is explained. Destructive forces exist in a world, but they are driven downward. They do not rule the cosmos. Only then can it be said, Zeus's power has fully taken shape. Yet the myth adds one final subtle note, not about war, but about prophecy, which haunts every ruler. As Uranus feared his children, and as Cronus feared his children, so Zeus knows danger may come not by sword, but by fate. That is why tradition tells that Zeus, wary of a prophecy, that a son by Medes, goddess of wisdom, could surpass him, makes a preventive choice. He swallows Metis, but not like Cronus, out of brutal fear, rather as a high god, seeking to keep wisdom within himself. And in time, from him is born Athena, wisdom that emerges not as a threat to the throne, but as a pillar of order. So the myth ends where it began, with fear of prophecy, but now in a different key. Uranus and Cronus fell because their fear produced tyranny, and tyranny produced rebellion. Zeus holds power because he turns fear into structure. He divides realms, sets boundaries, and tames chaos. And from then on, the cosmos is no longer formless chaos. It becomes an ordered world with sky, sea, and underworld, with laws and punishment for their breaking, where even gods are not free from fate, yet can still uphold order. And if you listen closely, this story sounds like a warning. The greatest threat to power is not an outside enemy, but fear, the fear that makes a ruler devour his own future. If you enjoyed this myth, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next stories. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.